Good morning and welcome to Everybody's Business. I'm David Drennan with the Arizona Department of Commerce. Economists predicted January would be a bad month, and employment numbers showed they are correct. Almost every sector saw job losses. The state shed 74,000 jobs, and unemployment is now at 7% for Arizona, still lower than the national average. With companies downsizing, many are asking, are there jobs out there? Well, for insight, we're joined by Michael Hayes of Momentum Specialized Staffing. Good morning.
Hi.
And I guess kind of the question to you is, what industries are hiring? You know, what stand a good chance to actually perform in 2009?
Well, I think right now there's not very many areas hiring at all. I think going forward you can look at the construction industry because that's where a lot of the stimulus money is coming from. But those jobs are only going to be for the very skilled, people that can use backhoes and certain types of machinery. So like on the general labor front, I don't know if that's going to be available.
Yeah. And, as people are obviously looking at companies, what should they be looking for?
They should probably, if you're going to look for a job, you should not just sit at home and gunsling resumes out to everybody on the internet. That really is what everybody else is doing. So when a company gets 1,000, 1,500 resumes, that's the reason why they're using like a staffing service like ourselves to screen through that amount of emails. And regardless of how great your resume is, it may never get even seen.
And, what is actually a great way to be a little bit more strategic?
I think you should be introducing yourself to your friends' friends. You should be doing networking well in advance of, losing your job, because now everybody's trying to do it. But your friends is generally, and colleagues, people that you've worked with and leaned on, at other jobs or whatever, networking through LinkedIn or something like that on the higher end positions to be able to let people know that you're looking or you're available, not just sending resumes out.
For folks who obviously, are still employed, they want to show show their worth in the office and obviously avoid getting laid off. Any advice?
I think you need to take on more responsibility. Don't just, if you don't have anything to do for 2 hours, don't just go, well, I'm going to check my Facebook account or shop online or see what my buddies are doing. Go to your supervisor and ask for additional work, or take an additional project that, maybe the office would love to do but doesn't have time to. Maybe you could be the person that spearheads that.
And of course that kind of probably follows up with not necessarily the best time to ask for a raise.
I would think now if you go in and ask for a raise, you're going to be looked at as kind of a knucklehead. I kind of say a thing to people like, have you read the newspaper lately? That's probably not going to be a good time, because that might put a target on you also.
And of course, Michael, you're an Arizona native, graduate of NAU and Thunderbird. Plus, you have 14 years experience in the securities business, advising banks, mutual funds, and individuals on all types of investments. Have you, my guess is basically you've probably never seen it this bad in the economy.
Yeah, and I talked with some of my friends at lunch, and we were just commenting about how fast it was. It was almost like a tidal wave. Everything, went bad so quick. There wasn't really any time to steer the boat out of the way. So, and the other issue that I see is that it's almost every industry. I mean, even back in the early 80s, you had the RTC and stuff, but there was still there were still industries that were hiring. I mean, like right now, it's like every business is being affected across the board.
And at least at a standstill. For those people who did just get laid off, and maybe there's not a lot of jobs out there, what advice do you have for them to prepare going in that direction?
Well, if you do get an interview, you need to practice for your interview. It's just like if you're going to play golf, you wouldn't just buy a set of clubs and go down to the golf course because you wouldn't know what you were doing. You need to practice in front of the mirror. You need to have friends interview, your grandma, whoever, people that can ask you tough questions about why you left places. Did you have attendance problems? Do you have reliable transportation? Practicing questions that may be uncomfortable to answer, but also looking at yourself in the mirror to make sure you're not giving off a lot of strange facial expressions that may lead to you thinking that you're not telling the truth.
And obviously you deal with a lot of folks who are in the HR world as they begin to look at folks to hire. Do you know what they're looking for in quality applicants?
Well, they don't have time to look at resumes. You know, with 1,500 resumes coming in for a typical position, it's time consuming. So they're going to need to make the time, or hire somebody to make the time to field the calls, look at the applicants, and interview the ones that look promising.
How can folks contact you?
We're here in Phoenix at 602-477-8193.
All right, and that's Michael Hayes with Momentum Specialized Staffing. You can find additional tools for workforce assistance at azcommerce.com. This is Everybody's Business on Financial News Radio, 1510 AM, KFNN.